Oh, well, hello there, you beautiful, wonderful, amazing humans. I'm Andrea Dawn, and today we're going to do a yoga flow that highlights Utthita Parsvakonasana, or extended side angle pose. So it literally translates as that, and there isn't much about the spiritual significance or history. It came along during the 20th century with Krishnamacharya and Pattabhi Jois. So what I thought would be interesting would be to look at it as a side angle. Meaning, is there a different angle that you could look at something or acknowledge a problem or an issue in your life? Oftentimes we go about trying to solve something in the same mindset that the problem was created in. So is there another way, another perspective, a shift that you might be able to observe something in your life that's causing you suffering or pain? So we'll get started with prana mudra, meaning we're going to extend the forefinger and the middle finger and tuck in the ring and pinky with the thumb. So just kind of like you're making peace fingers, but then you bring those two fingers together. That's our prana mudra, and it just means the energy of us. So we're taking this mudra so that we can consciously direct our energy, and perhaps directing it into a space that might gift you the ability to have that alternate perspective. So maybe we start to move the energy swirling in our mind, and with our breath, bring it down into our heart. And sometimes taking space from whatever the issue is helpful in finding that new perspective. And so this practice gets to be that space. So let's shift the awareness into the physical body. Your shoulders, your chest, your core body, your legs, feet, and finally your smile. All right, let's dive right in. So if you're sitting on any props, we'll remove those props and we're going to start on our backs. So you'll come down onto your backs. Once you arrive there, heel toe your feet wide and knock your knees into the midline. So heel toe your feet pretty wide, like off the mat wide. And then just check in. If that's giving you enough sensation, great. If not, you can also go from side to side, moving one leg closer towards the other inner ankle. But we're continuing to keep the energy moving inward. And I'm so excited to be coming to you from the Yoga Shala. So hopefully you'll be here one day with me in Guatemala at Lake Atitlan practicing yoga. We just got our fans installed and our lights installed. Good, then heel toe your feet back through center, and we'll just drop the knees over towards the right. Then you can take the right heel, press it on top of the left knee. Okay, then your arms can go out to a T. Maybe you shift the gaze over the left shoulder, or another option would be to add a little bit of a shoulder stretch. And if you'd like to do that, this right arm will come across the chest and the left arm will press on top of the forearm to bring it closer down towards the earth. Our whole practice is just a practice in presence. So we're just learning how to be in our body, how to be in our breath, and that be enough. Good, then we'll release that and we'll just switch it to the other side. So we'll drop the knees over towards the left heel goes on top of the right knee. Again, the arms can come out to a T and the gaze over the right shoulder, or if you'd like to add the shoulder stretch, the left arm would cross over the chest and the right arm will be the support. And then we'll release. Take a big stretch, reach the legs beneath you, arms overhead, interlace the fingers, press the palms up, really reach, point your toes, reach away from you, press the palms up, and then relax, and then bring the arms up with the fingers still interlaced. And then we'll just find a little shoulder protraction and retraction. So you'll press the held hands up and then back and down. Up and down. And you can begin to link this movement with your breath. Good, now next time they're down, pause there, and we're just gonna rotate from the wrist. So it's like I'm taking my pinkies and trying to reach them up towards the sky, and then shift and bring my thumbs up towards the sky. Good. Now take your right hand and just give the left arm, the left forearm a massage. This is always such a wonderful reminder to me of making sure that I'm giving my own body my physical touch. So it's that reminder to yourself that you are here, you're never leaving, you're never abandoning yourself. And in that way, we get to start to feel safe and secure with ourselves so that when things or relationships are difficult, it doesn't feel so threatening to our well-being. It's like, oh, but I'm still here for me. I still love me. All right, let's do the other arm. And then how do I show up for me? Sometimes I'll ask myself, who do I need to be for myself in this moment? All right, then let's give the arms a good shake. Reach overhead, inhale, exhale, all the way up to all fours. And we'll come to an even tabletop position. Now, once you get to this even tabletop position, extend the right leg back behind you. So see if you can level out the hips, meaning you're lifting the navel up towards the spine and pressing evenly through the hands. Flex the right foot and then just start to move from the hip joint in circles. So see if you can create some small circles and then some bigger circles, all in control. And then let's take those circles in the other direction. Different size circles. Good. Inhale. Exhale, right foot outside of right hand. Slide the left knee back, lizard pose. One of my favorite positions to really have options. So remember, you're always the agent of your practice. You're always the one who's in charge of deciding what is healthy and beneficial for your body. So sometimes that might be like, oh yeah, actually like my quad needs a little bit more, so I'm going to reach around and go for my foot, or I need to twist a little bit, or let this right knee fall out towards the right, or come onto forearms, so that we don't get stuck in the robotic, deeper is better, or more is better. Better is better, better for what my body needs today. And then can I be in a state of allowance and discernment for that? That's my favorite part about the practice, is discovering these almost like unknown beliefs that you have that are causing you misery or suffering. All right, and then we'll heel toe this right foot in towards the midline and slide the left knee up. Walk the hands up onto the right knee and we'll lift the torso. So now I've got more of a right angle between my lower body and my upper body. Find a scissoring action with the legs. Inhale to reach your arms up. And then we're going to do a side bend here. So this right hand can reach down. It can reach to a prop, or I'm going to place it behind the low back. So make sure we're kind of not dumping into the low back here, but keeping a strong, sturdy base so that we can find the stretch in the front of the left hip and the left side body. All right, from here we're gonna windmill the arms open and come into what we're gonna make into a modified side angle pose. So now I'm facing the long side of the mat, my left knee is straight down, my right leg is out, my right heel is underneath the knee. So we can see the setup as the same as our side angle pose. So from here, we're just going to lean over towards the right, bring the right forearm onto the right quad, and then reach the left arm overhead. And I think this is a nice way to help us discover we don't have to kind of dump into the shoulder or place all of our weight, because being on the knee gives us a little bit more support here. So you can find that ability to kind of just touch the forearm to the quad and then reach the left arm overhead. See if you're breaking in the elbow or in the wrist and see if you can straighten that out. You could also bring this right hand down to the inside of the right foot. Good, then let's windmill our arms to the back of the mat, come back to all fours, and we'll just repeat that same sequence on the other side. So from that all fours position, extend the left leg, flex the foot, and start to find your circles. Different sizes. Other direction. Good, then step left foot outside of left hand, lizard pose. I also like to use lizard as a place to stretch my wrists. So you could place the hands upside down, tap thumb to fingers. I don't know if you can hear it, but we have neighbors on one side of us. And if you hear the clap, 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 it is one of the most unique sounds that I've learned is just a sound of Guatemala. They're making their tortillas and you hear it everywhere. It's just the women making their tortillas. Okay, let's heel toe the left foot into the midline, walk the hands up onto the left knee, shift so that you find more of that 90-degree angle, reach your arms up, and we're gonna take a side bend. Again, this left hand might come down and just reach to a prop, maybe behind the back. And by finding that scissoring action, you can really increase the sensation in the front of the right hip or in your hip flexor, right? Because you're really pressing the right quad, right hip, right knee forward. Okay, now we're going to come to the long side of the mat. So you'll just kickstand this right foot and bring your arms out to a T. So we're coming back to our practice for side angle pose, or Utthita Parsva Konasana. So we'll start with that lean over towards the left, forearm to quad, right arm overhead. And then notice where your mind might want to go when you have pauses and stillness. And coming back to the practice. Again, giving yourself space to have a new or different perspective or angle. All right, let's come on back up and we'll just bring this left knee down to meet the right. So now we're standing on our knees facing the long side of the mat. Clasp the hands behind you, reach the clasped hands down, sit your bum back and fold forward as you bring the held hands up and over. And then you might start to shift the shoulders from side to side in towards the midline. And then come on back up, bring the hands down, tuck the toes, step up. Heel toe the feet out wide. We're going to come to a wide leg forward fold facing the long side of the mat. So the toes are slightly angled in. And we're just seeing if we can create the same amount of pressure in the big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, and heel. Meaning I'm not just kind of turned out or all the weight's going to the outer blade edge of my foot. I'm still pushing through the big toe ball mounds of my feet and the arches are lifting. And then let the upper body relax. Good, halfway lift. We'll heel toe our feet in and we're going to come down into a squat. So you'll heel toe your feet in enough and then start to bend the knees deep and sit down in between the heels. You might keep the hands planted for support and balance, or maybe you use the elbows to open the knees up a little bit more. Again, trying to create that same amount of pressure in all 3 points of your feet. Maybe the hands come through prayer. Good, then we're gonna come to sit. So it depends on you, but the easiest way might be to bring your hands behind you, lean back, lower the bum down, extend the legs out wide. And we're just gonna practice bringing the legs into a cross-leg position without the use of our arms. So like I notice when I sit and I'm folding my legs in, I use one arm, then I use the other. So I'm just gonna see, without using my arms, what is my natural range of motion? And then I'm going to switch which leg I bring in first. Okay, then the next time that you're in, stay in, hands to the knees, and a few cat-cows here. So the hands will grip to the outsides of the knees or the front of the knees. Inhale to lift, open through your heart and chest. Exhale to round, chest bone towards the pubic bone, chin towards the chest. All right, let's make our way into the first flow of the practice. So we're going to start in a downward facing dog position. It's that upside down V shape. Spread your fingers, grip through your finger pads. Step far enough back so that when you roll forward, you're in a high plank position. And then that's what we're going to do, is a few rolls forward and back. So you can start by coming high up onto your tiptoes, waving your spine forward, shoulders over wrists, and then pressing up and back. Moving a few times with your breath. Good, then the next time you're forward, stay forward and pause. Engage your quads, lift through your kneecaps, lift through your hamstrings. Soften your brow, soften your jaw. Set your knees down, sit back, child's pose, but right away we're going to sweep our hands back, come to stand onto the knees, reach the arms up, then clasp the hands behind you. Now we're going to put the weight into the left knee to step the right foot forward. From there, tuck the left toes, lift the left knee, and anchor the left foot down. You might need a wider base, in which case you can heel toe the right foot more towards the right. And then we'll find humble warrior. So fold to the inside of the right leg, let the head hang heavy, maybe lift the held hands. Notice what pinky is on top so you can switch it for the next side. All right, now we're going to come on up And as we do, pivot onto the ball mound of the left foot. So we're moving into high crescent lunge. So I'm gonna start to lift. I find that halfway lift, then pivot on the ball mound of the left foot, then reach the arms up. And we find our high crescent lunge, of which you might stay and hold, or you could work a little bit with movement here by straightening the right leg and then bending into the knee. Now bring the hands to prayer. Straighten the right leg, turn the right foot in, turn across the long side of the mat into Skandasana, back of the mat. So you're going to turn the left foot out, bend into the left knee, come to the inside of the left knee. Okay, and you might stay kind of high. You might plant your hands. You might come all the way down in your Skandasana. If you are, make sure this right leg is really engaged. So I'm engaging the quad, I'm pressing down through the heel. The foot is flexed. And same thing as I did in my squat, right? Because all the weight wants to come to the inner blade edge of the foot. So I'm trying to push it to the outer blade edge of the foot. Now we're going to lift up and turn towards the back of the mat. So you'll lift, pivot. This right hand is going to go to in front of or outside of the left foot, and it might go to a prop. I'd recommend that. Then lift the right leg into revolved half moon. So once I align the head, heart, hip, and heel, then I can start to rotate the spine to the left. Once I have that, then maybe extend the arm. Squeeze the right inner thigh in towards the midline. Land the ball mound of the right foot down, windmill the arms up. We're in warrior two. So we can acknowledge the warrior two setup of the legs as the same we need for our side angle pose. The right heel's intersecting the left arch, the right knee not caving in, but over the left ankle, right? And eventually we're looking to get this thigh towards parallel. Most of us, that's not quite where we are. Hips are level. So notice that my right hip point is not lifted higher than my left hip point. My hips are level. And then shoulders are over hips. That's our warrior two. Now we're going to take this to side angle pose, but we're going to switch so we give this leg a break. So hands meet at high prayer. Same exact setup, other side. Left foot turns in, right foot turns forward. Bend into the knee. Find that same setup. Arms come back out to a T. Now, instead of keeping the shoulders over the hips, I'm going to shift, moving from my side body, shift, right forearm to right quad. Again, I'm not falling into the right forearm. As much as the forearm is coming down onto the quad is pressing back up into the forearm, left arm overhead. And then the gaze technically is up at the left hand, but for some of us in balance, it might be looking down or forward. And then use the back leg more. Engage the quad. Press down through the outer blade edge of the foot. Now let's switch an arm variation. So we're going to bring this left hand behind the back and we'll give this right leg a break. Okay, so we'll extend the right arm, straighten the right leg, turn the right foot in. So we're just going to keep switching back and forth. Now the left foot turns out, bend into the knee, and now again I'm going to shift over, but instead of using this left arm for support, I'm going to keep it behind my back. So that might help a little bit with keeping the core body turned towards the side, long side of your mat. Good, now another option could be to frame out the head. I know, it's a lot. But if we're doing that, we want to make sure that we're not completely up here. We're having the lats engaged slightly, or I think of it as drawing the armpits a little bit more towards my hip. And then we'll come back into side angle one final time towards the front of the mat. You could take any variation, and I just want to offer this right hand could go down in front of the foot or behind the foot. I personally like it in front because I can then use it to help for this external rotation of the right leg. So I'm pushing back a little bit, and then I'm using that to even help turn my right ribs up a little bit more. Inhale, exhale to windmill the arms down, step the right foot back to meet the left, and we have an opportunity for flow here. So if you have a flow, go ahead into it. If you're new to flow, drop the knees, heart and chest forward, lower down, keep the core body in a plank position, elbows straight back. Find the baby cobra by pressing through the tops of the feet and lifting through the heart and chest. Back to all fours and into your downward facing dog. And we'll repeat that on the other side. So we'll meet back in our downward facing dog. A little anxious of mosquitoes right now because dengue is going around with the mosquitoes here. And they certainly love my sweet blood. All right, from downward facing dog, we've got that long stance and we're taking some plank rolls forward. Just aligning ourselves up with our breath. Using this opportunity to reset, come back to neutral. And high plank. Steady your breath. Drop the knees. Come back, child's pose. Sweep the hands back. Come to stand onto the knees. Reach the arms up, then clasp the hands behind you. Opposite thumb on top. Step the left foot forward. Good. Tuck the right toes, lift the right leg, anchor right foot. Maybe you need a wider base. Fold forward, humble warrior. Now we'll come to a halfway left, pivot on the ball mound of the right foot, rise up, crescent lunge. We have the option to hold in stillness or the option to straighten and bend the front leg. So sometimes when I feel like I can't quite connect with my breath, movement helps me a little bit more because then I tend to just breathe with the movement. Meet the hands at high prayer, straighten the left leg, turn the left foot in, right foot on an angle towards the back of the mat, bend into the knee, Skandasana, back of the mat. Lift, pivot into revolved half moon. So I'm going to lift, pivot. This left hand is going to go in front of or to the side of my right foot. Lift the left leg. Find that alignment between head, heart, hip, heel. Squeeze the left inner thigh towards the midline. As you rotate, ribs, chest, collarbone to the right, then extend the arm. Fingers straight up from the collarbone. Your arm probably isn't going to be reaching up towards the sky, right? We'll overextend the shoulder by doing that. Then lower the ball mound of the left foot. We find warrior two, right? So we come to that heel to arch alignment, hips level, shoulders over hips, arms to a T. And then when I think about turning, I just think about my nose. I'm going to turn over towards the right. I'm relaxing the shoulders back and down, reaching the fingers away from me, but at the same time, drawing the armpits in, down. Okay, now we're going to take this towards the front of the mat. So let's bring the hands to high prayer, give them a little break. Right foot in, left foot forward. We find our warrior two first. Once we have that alignment, now we can lean to the left, forearm to quad, right arm overhead. Utthita Parsvottanasana. So what I find still after 13 years of practice is I can always engage my back leg more. I can always take a little bit more work out of this front leg. Okay, now we're having the variation where we take away the use of the right arm behind the back, we switch the legs, find that first, then lean, left arm overhead. So sometimes by removing different limbs, we gain more awareness and access to other limbs. All right, then maybe you find the arms framing out the head. Maybe, maybe not. Let's lift up and over. And here you have the option to find another traditional side angle, or maybe this left hand goes to the inside or the outside of the bent knee. And then when you're ready, windmill the arms down, and we have an opportunity for flow. Another variation of flow could be coming from a high plank into chaturanga, to upward facing dog, to downward facing dog. All right, yogis, one more time through. This time we're not gonna hold. We're gonna roll right through a little bit more fluidly with the breath. So we come to downward facing dog. This is your reset. Roll forward, high plank, just one time. Drop the knees, child's. Sweep the arms back, stand up onto the knees, reach the arms up. Clasp the hands behind you. Step the right foot forward. Tuck the left toes, lift the left leg, fold, humble warrior. Good, rise up, pivot on the ball mound of the left foot. Now you're in high crescent. Just one time, maybe you straighten the leg, bend back into the knee, hands meet at high prayer. You come across the long side of the mat, Skandasana, back of the mat. From Skandasana, back of the mat, we go to revolved half moon. So pivot, maybe find your prop, lift the right leg, rotate to the left. Step the ball mound of the right foot down, warrior two. Hands meet at high prayer. We're shifting the legs, side angle, front. Now we're going to take another side angle variation where the left hand goes behind the back and the right arm goes overhead at the back of the mat. Maybe frame the head. Bring it back forward. Opportunity to drop the lower arm. Okay, we'll add on just a little bit. So pivot and turn towards the front of the mat, land the left hand, and rotate to the right. So we're in a lunge twist. Good, drop the left knee, rise. So we're in a lunge twist where you could stay, you could revolve, and then the way I ended when I was practicing was a half moon. So windmilling the arms down, maybe finding your prop, and coming to a half moon pose. Wherever you are, let's find our way into a flow, and we'll meet back in downward facing dog. All right, y'all, last time through, you got this. Link up with your intention, link up with your breath. The more times a day you can do that, the more centered you will be, the more ability you will have to have that side or alternate perspective. High plank. Drop the knees. Slide back. Rise up. Clasp the hands, opposite thumb on top. Step the left foot forward. Tuck the right toes, fold, humble warrior. Rise up, high crescent lunge. Opportunity to straighten the leg, and then bend into the knee. Hands come to high prayer, Skandasana back. Lift, pivot, revolved half moon. From revolved half moon to warrior two. Warrior two takes us to our first side angle front. Now we're going to take a side angle variation. Right hand goes to the low back as we switch and turn towards the back of the mat. Maybe frame the head. We bring it back forward with a framed out head where you could stay, maybe find the quad, or maybe bring the hand down. Good. Now, lunge twist. Drop the knee, scissor the legs, rise up. You could hold, maybe you revolve, mindful of the low back, and maybe you finish it out with a half moon or something else that you want to add to your practice, which could totally be like child's pose. And this is our last opportunity for flow. And we will meet reclined on our backs. Nice work. Showing up is the hardest part. Everything after that, benefit. So let's hug the knees into the chest. Then we get to start to work on how we show up, how we want to show up, when we're not showing up that way without blame and shame. I was listening to someone the other day who was talking about fraud complex, and she kind of gave it to you straight. She's like, if you feel it, you probably are being it somewhere. And that really made me just like, oh, in the past, it's always been like, oh, well, how am I not a fraud, right? Which can be helpful. But I was like, oh, also, where am I being a fraud? Without like being mean to myself, but just to like be honest with myself. How can I get better if I don't see where I can be better? I'm human. Of course there's areas for improvement. All right, let's drop the knees down, cross the right ankle over the left knee, draw that in towards your chest. Let's take a figure four. Because like once we get to that place of like complete love and acceptance, you're not so scared to look at the hard things anymore. Because I'm no longer judging myself, I'm helping myself. It's like coming from that like, you know, grandma energy, big smile grandma energy. I'm not judging you. Just tell me all about it. And then let's work on that. All right, let's switch sides. Good, set the feet down. Just a few bridge rolls up and down. Massage the spine out. And then an inversion of your choice. So for some of us, that might be like a shoulder stand, or maybe it's a supported legs in the air. I'm just lifting the legs and giving them a nice little shake, some ankle rolls. And then we'll make our way into our final rest, our Shavasana, our corpse pose. And we hear over and over and over again, yoga teachers say, it's the most important posture, and it's the one that everyone skips. So we have to give our brain information about why it's the most important posture and how will it benefit us. It will benefit you because your parasympathetic nervous system usually takes about 20 minutes to access. That's where all the healing happens. So we did all of this work. We want it to mean something, which means we have to give ourselves a little bit of time and space for stillness. The body is slower. It's the most dense part of us. It needs time to catch up, and we're consistently not giving it to it. So, of course, it feels like not paid attention to, not respected, not seen, not heard. It's like you're never waiting for me. So this is just that time. Just think, it's like I'm just giving my body time and space to catch up so that it can continue to serve me and I can continue to cultivate gratitude for all that it does for me every day. So I encourage you to stay here. Stay, stay, stay. My heart sees and feels and smiles to yours. Namaste, yogi.